Hello there, welcome back to the channel. It's a Heart Like Esther's, and this is a continuation from the last video, episode 21. So I was discussing my time um, in Miami. I was leaving. God sent destiny helpers, and they provided me with a bus ticket. And so the ride from Miami to upstate New York, which I decided to head to first, it went smooth. I slept, listened to music, and read my Bible, despite hearing bad stories about, traveling on the bus. I felt safe throughout the journey. Um, I was fortunate to get like some new buses or well kept, and like not too many you know um, colorful people, I should say, on that drive. And so I chose to explore job opportunities upstate since I got that news because my plan was always to just land on my feet. I was just looking to, I had I was in a surmountable amount of debt. So I was looking to at least scrape the surface of it, So, rather than like imposing on my son and his girlfriend in their small apartment, my plan was to just stay like in a women's shelter until I got back on my feet. I believe the shelters in upstate New York would be better than those in New York City, like within the five boroughs, due to the smaller population upstate, And I didn't know anything about upstate, didn't visit often, and definitely didn't know about like their social services and those type of programs up there. But what I do know is that New York is a, right to shelter state. So they're never going to turn you around, whether it's upstate or downstate, which is within the five boroughs of Manhattan, Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island, even over in like the Westchester County area. But upon my arrival, like my girlfriend picked me up from the bus station. It was the wee hours of the morning, but she was there. And we had breakfast. It's New York, so they have all these different diners and stuff like that. And I had already been making calls to 311, searching online for like homelessness assistance prior to leaving to Miami. And I had some job opportunities lined up. I didn't get any emails. Nothing was set in stone with regards to like an interview. But, I always just thought positive about these things, not really understanding I was, breaking a generational curse as well as being under like severe heavy, witchcraft, black magic, and voodoo, that was cast against me. So, once I arrived and we were having breakfast, we were just chatting, and I shared my plan, with my girlfriend. And she then insisted that I stay at her daughter's place, although, she didn't have any real extra room, for me. She did offer, and I declined because, she's married, and with, she still have kids at home too, a boy and a girl. And I just didn't feel comfortable imposing. I never, even in Florida, I had friends, but I went on my own, so I didn't want to put my struggles and my situation. And then I was always scared too, like going around people with these entities like attached and following me, that they would disrupt someone else's life, And they were already, it was designed to have people, turn against me in an instant. So like I said, this was like the Matrix, Agent Smith, the spirit, people will embody the same spirit that was around me. So, but yeah, she mentioned that her older daughter had, moved out. I knew these kids well since they were kids because When she lived in the Bronx, I used to babysit for them. And she said it would be fine for me to go there to shower, considering it was still the wee hours, and we didn't have any idea what the shelters, that whole environment would look like. So at least I can prepare and get myself together, ask questions, the next morning when I call, and just know I have like a itemized list, of the rundown. So I'll know what to do and how to negate my way through. So the next day, I began making phone calls to, 311 again. And excuse me, my battery is going low. And just browsing online for information, about assistance for people experiencing homelessness. So I ended up being transferred to the same number where I started, where I had called from Miami while I was waiting for my ticket about the shelters in that area, like the Troy, Schenectady, Albany, Rensselaer areas. And I have found that information just searching in the Google, on the Google engine, and just putting like her zip code in. And so the one, the same number that I called, she mentioned that, the taxi will pick me up from my location. And during that call, I was told that, I would be sent to whichever women's shelter that had a available bed and like met the requirements, or I met their requirements, which were quite tedious as she went through them all, over the phone. So yeah, when my friend arrived to her daughter's house to pick me up, we went back to her place, and I made the call, and I just informed them that I was at, Amtrak, and at the station, because she lived just like zero point 0.4 miles away in Rensselaer, which is like right next door to Albany. Like you cross the light and you're in Albany. So, which was literally a 5-minute drive. And after speaking with them, and making those arrangements, she drove me over, and as soon as I entered, my name was called over the intercom. Within less than a minute, as I was walking in to go, sit down, and over the loudspeaker, it was indicating that, with along with my name, that my taxi was waiting for me out front. So I had initially passed the driver. He like literally walked right past him. We both looked at each other in the eye. So, the taxi, I said my goodbyes to my girl, and I got into the taxi, and he was just, chatting about like the area, what to look for, what, the goings on, just giving me a rundown. And so he took me to the Salvation Army in Schenectady, and it's a shelter for single women. When we finally arrived, I noticed it was a 3-story old brownstone on a street called Lafayette, where like a few women were like standing outside chatting and smoking cigarettes. And I just wondered to myself what this experience would be like, and reminded myself that it will only be temporary, and I didn't know anyone else in the upstate New York area except for, my girlfriend and her children. So in that part of the area, my other girlfriend from the Bronx actually lived upstate as well, but all the way on the other end, like in, uh, what area is that? I can't think of it right now off my head. And, so I just kept to myself, as I usually do, focusing on my own business while navigating through this new situation. I just had planned to use this experience as a stepping stone to get back on my feet and just continue my extensive job search. Like, one thing again, New York City has a lot of resources. It's the hub of business. So, they still had a lot of money, like for these type of programs. Unlike when I was in Miami, I was getting the door shut on me, like, no one would help me, and I thought that was like illegal, like to turn people away. I don't know. It was weird. And so believing, you know, during this time, I was just believing that things would turn around in a few months. I had given myself like 90 days, because I think like when you're going through some things, if you have to go back home to your parents or, live with a sibling or, a friend or whatever, it shouldn't take you more than 3 months to land on your feet if you like, handling your BI, your business. So, I encouraged myself, and also my friend was encouraging me. So she just assured me that since I had moved, lived in downstate and had worked in reputable organizations, in the New York City area. I was on my job for 20 something years. So before I left New York. And so, yeah, she said that land in a job upstate would be a piece of cake because they always be eager to employ people from the city because they know their stuff. And yeah, so I didn't understand that, like, while I was going through all these, obstacles in my life, this was how, these people who, you know, they deal in the occult, how they use energy and spirits to like swap your destiny. One day you are just living your life, doing your thing as you usually go about your life. And suddenly the life you once had is no more, and it's literally falling apart day by day. At least for me, that's what my life looked like at the time. They entered the spiritual realm to steal your blessings because you become a target because they already, for some odd reason, it's something about you that catches their attention. And then they go do their cards, or if they're not, doing the tarot cards themselves, they go to psychics. They visit people who are seers and they can see things. They can know what your future look like. Are you chosen? Do you have blessings? And yeah, they also use these means to evade like judgment for like, their evil actions against people. They swap your life for theirs, which manifests in the physical realm as a life filled with failures, setbacks, sickness, delay, loss. You get my drift, So if anyone who's listening to this video, and this story time, if you ever feel defeated, remember you have so much life ahead of you, which is why God wakes us up every day. And that alone is a blessing. People all over the world have gone through things like this and didn't even know that these were spiritual attacks. Some people like didn't make it, they're not here to tell their story because they succumbed to the wounds and to those attacks. They didn't know how to pray or fight warfare, and obviously they wasn't close to the Lord. So, don't suffer alone. Don't let people who wish you harm or use negative energy make you give up on your dreams, or, just keep going, keep pushing through. The Lord will always guide and help you, but you have to, make some changes, change patterns and habits in your life, especially if they're bad, and dedicate your life to the Lord, And as I mentioned before, I was out of shape because, like, they sent, deaf spirits did rituals and graveyard, like repeatedly. I'm not supposed to be here, It was only by the grace of God that I'm here and I can tell this story, which is one of the reasons why He wanted me to share it. My body had endured so much pain and suffering that it just became weak. Like I had a weak vessel. I'm still, getting through it, but I'm so much a lot better. And I used to like jump using jump ropes and things of that nature to get my strength back. But before I could even get a jump rope, um, I did jumping jacks, like even just 5 minutes a day. And yeah, a day. Or sometimes I would go back to it later on in the day or later on in the evening, but I would do it every day. I also use books before I can get like the small weights, like 5 pound weights, to strengthen my arms because I have fractured them, and just to stay in shape, and then I started doing more leg work, sitting with my back against the wall and just doing just simple little things that help me out a lot. Watch little videos on YouTube, like, uh, what is the name of that? I can't remember right now, but the witch and her coven, they were trying to stop me from moving forward by any means necessary, literally like manipulating everything around me, even my sleep and my dream state, to keep me bound to their covenants. They sent like sex demons disguised as like old partners, boyfriends, making me think like even my son's father, that relationship was many, many moons ago. But, and I would be, before I knew this stuff, like wondering why I'm dreaming about this person, but it's like they want you to think that like it's just a fantasy. So, you won't know what to do. And additionally, if someone is trying to feed you in the dreams, it may appear as though you are at a restaurant or even in a kitchen, just eating. It's again, you think nothing of it, and never cancel those dreams. Then your life begins to fall apart because an agreement was made with those spirits of the powers of darkness in those dreams. Those people that you think they are masquerading demons, and they want you to come in agreement, and you have to cancel, rebuke, renounce, come against, destroy by holy fire. Even if you think you had a dream and you forgot it, and you couldn't remember it because they erase your dreams as well. But yeah, I'm currently, you know, getting back to myself. And like I said, I'm feeling much better, although I've had some rough days, and some are behind me. And, I'm still struggling in some areas, but I feel a sense of relief now, um, especially now that God, I know He's dealing with those who, do wrong to His children. And um, let me just reiterate, I'm not celebrating or rejoicing about that, because I really wish these people would have just repented. I'm just thankful that He saves me from those who try to work evil against me and my son, because we don't deserve it. Nobody deserve it, but these people are cowards, and then it's like I mentioned in another video, most of the time it's monetary gain, and the other times then it start become envy and jealousy. And then other times it results from something else. Maybe, I know I remember like when I was a kid and overhearing people, my mom and her friend and one of my aunts talking about some root work and what happened. Like somebody was sleeping with somebody's husband, and this lady went to the country and had some work done from a lady, named Mother Walker, and so yeah, and like root work. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it deals with a lot of bones and stuff and jars and like a lot of wickedness, and like Santeria, all of that stuff deals with like water spirits and stuff, or spirit of the lake, Oshan, and all these things. And no, the spirit of the lake is Oshan, and Mami Wada, which is like voodoo. Like those are marine kingdom, spirits of the ocean and things. But it's really deep, and I really want to get this stuff past me, but I'm glad like a lot of people here on YouTube are bringing awareness, because people are actually, leaving this world and or living in this world and not really living their full potential, because they under curses and spells and don't even know it. They just thinking they just having a string of bad luck, or and then it goes down from them to their children. So yeah, we have to be aware of these things, and get close to the Lord, draw near, read your Bible, get some deliverance. Sometimes we have to pull back from the table and fast, because in some instances, like it says in scripture, these kind only comes out through fasting and prayer. So you won't be able to get any deliverance if you don't fast. And fasting without praying and reading scriptures is just a diet. So you're going to have to incorporate all of these things in one. And sometimes it's tough, like 3-day fast, and that's the shortest one. But some people can't make it through. I remember me doing my first one. It was rough. I think just the first day. After the first day, it's like I prayed like for the Holy Spirit to take the taste of food out of my mouth. And so I didn't have a desire for food. So I made it through, and then you just like make it a lifestyle. It becomes a part of your life, and dealing with this stuff, because these spirits, you could be delivered from. They'll spin the block on you and come back just to see if there's an open door. Is there any entryway to come back and restart these cycles? So yeah, thank you again for coming to my video, listening to my story, and I will have more to come until I complete the story up into my current time now. All right, so be well. I wish you all the best with your endeavors, and may God continue to bless you. Goodbye.